And I'm your second host, AC. So, this episode of One More Cup of the first to be on our Twitch channel. Joining us today are three amazing Chill with Aster, Windflowerlia, and Minsleif.
Esther, could you introduce yourself a little bit to our audience?
Hello, I'm Aster, and this is Coffee and Culture. And hello, everyone. Thanks for having me again. I'm back for my revenge. Hope you like your Scaramouche lore.
Yep, Esther is on once again for our podcast. If you've come on a podcast before on YouTube and or Discord, you've probably seen her at least once or twice. Now let us move on to our next guest, Minsleif. Introduce yourself a little bit as well.
Hello, I'm your Leafy Lore Shira Minsleif, and I read the Genshin Impact lore so you don't have to, and it's good to be back on Coffee and Culture again.
Minsleif is also a regular within the podcast, if you've seen her once or twice before. And Leah. Leah.
I'm Leah.
last guest.
I'm so excited to be here. I was on, I think, for the last one, and this is my second time being here, and I'm so excited to talk about lore with these amazing people.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us, Leah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to thoughts on the 3.4 live stream. Happened literally right before.
As you have seen before, if you were there, you saw a bunch of new lore reveals, including our favorite Sumer scholar, Al-Haytham himself. So, and that's what we will be exploring today. Al-Haytham, and what the hell is going on with the desert now? So,
what do you guys think?
How about you, Steph?
I'm just really interested to see if we're finally going to see that Skyfrost nail in Sumeru.
Oh, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Suspicious caves.
Suspicious trees.
The Eternal Oasis World Quest?
Yeah, I think I really need to rush through Golden Slumber, but now I feel like I want to complete it all the more, especially with this new quest in 3.4 seeming like a sequel to it.
It's such a treat. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. Like, I was honestly surprised when I played it. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. So I'm really glad we're getting a follow-up to it.
That's so awesome.
That's the signal I should do it as well. I have basically zero exploration in the desert, mostly because it's just, well, you know, desert. You don't really see much there. It's sand and triangle robots and
so
weird
cool
ass
there.
monument buildings, though. So I should probably start, well, digging in. You know, no pun intended.
But I think Al-Haytham, you know, especially with kind of this being a follow-up to Golden Slumber involving King Deshret, there's a lot of theories that kind of float around with, is Al-Haytham a reincarnation of King Deshret?
Oh, I have so many thoughts about this theory.
I want to hear it.
So it's not that I think that he's a reincarnation. I feel like he's more like a narrative parallel, kind of like how Yulan and the rest of the characters in the Chasm Archon quest with Xiao were like paralleling Xiao's old Yaksha relatives, but like obviously are not nearly the same people. I feel like Al Haytham may be like a narrative parallel because, we had this entire plot with him seeking out the divine knowledge capsule, and, he's really interested in forbidden knowledge and just like studying it. Um, but like, as for being like a reincarnation, like, I feel like Candace has been said to be a direct descendant of King Deshret, so I feel like it's kind of hard to say he would be like a reincarnation one to one. I feel like it's more like in the narrative, in the story of Sumeru, he kind of represents similar things that King Deshret did when he was alive and active. Um,
Yeah, I like that. I like that you said that narrative parallel, like that term, kind of similarly, kind of like how Nilu might not necessarily be like the goddess of flowers per se, but she is
yeah,
like the narrative parallel. I like the term that you use for that too. And you're absolutely. I like where you're going with that theory too, because I like that you made the connection with the yakshas, with kind of that 2.8 quest with Shao and him kind of having Yellen as a friend and Kakishinobu and Ito as well, and them kind of representing the previous roles of the previous yakshas. I that
mhm.
was a really good point that you made too.
Thank you. Yeah, I just feel like because like they're nothing like the Yaksha, right? Like that entire cast,
Right.
but like they kind of stood in to fill similar roles in the story. And I feel like I'll Hate Them could be a similar situation. And I feel like not only like that example, but just Genshin in general makes it a point to have the present and the future represent things that happened in the past in various ways. And I feel like this like they reuse this idea because like it's referenced in Dainsleif's like character card introduction that like um basically cycles are repeating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's also a nice callback to Nahida's quote from the early 3.0 trailers where she said everything runs in a loop.
yes, yes.
Mhm. And I think it's interesting that you pointed that out too. It's not necessarily like the people themselves that kind of repeat or the people themselves that reincarnate. It's almost like their roles kind of repeat, if that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
the way you're saying, so that like basically you're sort of like corresponding the character how do you say this party sort of with like the previous chasm. So like let's say Al Haytham sort of represents Xiao. So Ito might also let me think. Ito might represent Kabe because
Oh, with like the
this might
banter.
yeah with like the banter and stuff. It's not just the banter though. From a recent like did a tiny little bit of research on Kabe and
Hmm.
found out that parts of his design are sort of reminiscent to like King Deshret's like tombs as well, like architecture.
Mm,
Him being architecture, the only things in the desert being also architecture. So they sort of like swatch up. And the fact that he has like a very different color palette, like he has this
hmm.
brown and yellow color palette that doesn't really match up with any of the other like main Sumeru like rainforest characters. Like
Right.
most of the characters have more like green and nature oriented color palettes.
Hmm.
If you're talking about characters like Kale, like Nahida, like I'll hate them. All of them have like mostly green as their primary colors of color palettes. Cave is completely different. He mostly uses brown and yellow, like I said before.
Right.
Kazuha treatment.
Yeah,
Mm.
He seems, yeah, the Kazuo treatment.
because of
So there's an interesting comment in chat, and this is from Minnie, who I like to call one of the five shining shades in my chat. And Minnie's very well versed in the lore of like King Dashret, etc. So Minnie says, I'm in discussion with my lore buddy, and we looked into El Haytham's constellations, and it talks about a falcon on a god's shoulder from one of the stars, and a lot of bird connections. So I was thinking he could be the Ibis King mentioned in Lay of Al Akhbar. Oh,
Ooh.
that's an
Oh,
interesting
one of
point,
the
Interesting.
Minnie.
three. Mm.
Good spotting.
And Cloud says, I heard Kaveh, I'm here. Also valid. But that's really, really interesting because I've always wondered kind of. I find every region's deep lore to be very, very interesting. So I'm actually really glad that they're kind of continuing on the whole lore behind the Scarlet King, as well as hopefully the Goddess of Flowers. We didn't really get like a concrete mention of her, but hopefully like everything has something has to do with her in this new quest.
Did we ever find out? So we had a quest title, and it was King Deshret and the Three Magi. Did we ever find out who those three people are?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a great question. I don't think we
Wait,
have, right?
we don't. Wait.
I
I don't think so.
The best theory
Oh
for
no.
that, I think, is the from the Lay of Al Ahmar, the three
Mm.
kings, the ones that had actually a really big influence in King Deshret's first decision in pursuing the knowledge in the first place. But there's no conclusive evidence on who the three magi are.
I have a feeling this is gonna be
Mm.
like the Raiden Gokuden, where like we have these presumptions, but they don't get revealed until like 4 point something something.
I mean,
Right?
I have to wonder too because I think in that Archon quest, that's when we learned about Kasala's past, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe he could have been one of them? Question mark.
Mm.
Mm.
Definitely an interesting point to note.
hmm
Minnie here also says Ibis King is the king of all scribes too, and as it pertains to El Haytham, and it's interesting because El Haytham's current role is like the acting, um, was it not Grandmaster? That's Mondstadt
The
for the
acting
Evil,
academia.
grand sage.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Acting
evil
Grand Sage.
scholar. He just
So it's
wants to keep his
interesting that
normal
he
9 to 5
represents.
job.
Yeah. So it's interesting that Minnie makes a connection that he might be kind of as what Leah mentioned, like a narrative parallel to the Ibis King. So I think that's really, really neat.
What what I actually want to know is who are the other two then? If Al Haytham is the narrative parallel of the Ibis King, which is a scribe of
Mhm.
all scribes, the Goat King is the minister of all ministers, and the Crocodile King is the commander of all commanders. So I wonder if they'll have more characters that
Mm.
actually serve as
That kind of
narrative
represent
parallels for
that.
like yeah, for the other two. Ooh, more characters,
Oh,
mihoyo, more money.
scary.
Yeah,
Did it?
there's no way Suma's
More five
already
stars,
finished.
Hoyo.
Am I remembering
Kidding.
wrong? I feel like there was like a hint about the Genius Invocation light novel coming up that we're supposed
Mm.
Oh?
to like maybe be able to read. I don't know, but I feel like there was something mentioning a
Isn't there like a
crocodile
commission
king.
in Simru that kind of talks about that too?
Yeah, they want to involve
Yeah,
Sino Tignari, I think,
I
as
think
models for
so.
it.
Yeah. Oh.
But I think the story mentions like a crocodile king or something like that. And I don't know if my memory is correct, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I wonder.
We also have a question here from Lexo. Also from the trailer, we can see an oasis related to the goddess of flowers where time seems stopped. What do you think? That's an interesting one.
It's
The
so
birds
Time
pretty.
stop
seems.
flying and we start walking
Uh,
across the water.
wait. That's the part where Traveler turns into Jesus and Dio at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
I think it's interesting that we have way more of a presence for Istroth. If that was indeed Istroth's voice in the 3.3 Prelude Archon Quest, it's interesting that we heard her voice, possibly if it is her, and then all of a sudden we're at this realm where time doesn't move. I think it's very interesting. And then on top of that, we also have Venti making an appearance for Lantern Right, and he is considered one of the Thousand Winds of Istroth. So it's kind of interesting that there's with the increasing prevalence of Istroth's presence, you have more Venti too, which is great for the Venti stands.
Venti.
Amazing.
Pieces are coming
Venti is
together.
so cool.
The pieces of the puzzle are
Venti is
coming
just the
together, it seems.
best.
Hmm.
And
I
he's the
wonder if
one that
it's like
doesn't
a
have a
pain of
part 2
time
story
thing.
quest. Say that again, Aster.
I wonder if like the oasis that we saw, the tribute to the goddess of flowers, is kind of like a plane of euthymia. Not
Oh,
that
that's a
it's
great point.
eternal, but like yeah,
Oh,
the
Oh,
memories or things are immortalized in that kind of demi-plane, that space.
that's
That's a really
interesting.
interesting take. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Flowers,
that matches
flowers
up
reveal
with
life.
I feel like that matches up with how everything was frozen when Traveler was walking around it. So
Yeah, it's like its own little realm. That's cool.
Mm.
Could that be it?
It's
No.
always like been intriguing as well because like every single time we've been in these realms, like there's always
Hmm.
this tree here, and somehow the tree always looks different. What's bothered me, what's like always bothered me, once I saw like the Scar story quest was how like the Erminsul when Scar went in looked so different from the Erminsul we saw when like during the main Archon quest when like Rukadabata asked Nahida to like sort of like delete herself, sort of like how it looks
oh,
so
ley
different.
lines. Yeah, I feel like each different region and subregion has its own like um specialized ley line conditions, I guess, that are kind of like influenced and shaped by the people and the life in that area.
Hmm.
And so like it's kind of like the same story in different places. You know, you have this Irminsul or like ley line tree that connects to the Irminsul and like gathers information and carries the elements and memories and etc. through it. And like it's just gonna be different in nuance with each region you go to, but like it kind of functions in like a same base way. Like it can be corrupted, it can be blocked, you can purify it, etc. So yeah.
I think the Ermin soul that we saw in the interlude was, I don't remember if what they said was it's like an internal part of the Ermin soul instead of external. I don't remember if that was the explanation that they gave when we quote unquote entered Ermin soul. That's why it looks more like a network, like a router kind of thing, instead
Yeah,
of the ooh
like
grand magnificent tree.
Hmm.
yeah. So by saying that, like Irminsul's this giant supercomputer. When we first arrived, we were basically arriving at like the edge, the bark of it, where it was basically just like just Irminsul by itself. And when during the interlude, we were just like inside like the network, inside like the motherboard.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, probably. Oh, someone actually mentioned this before, since there's a lot of allegory to the internet and mass network of knowledge, which is the Akasha terminal of the Immersill. So I won't be naming any names, but someone mentioned, do you think they have a search engine in there, or did they have to go through each piece of information to get to
Oh
like letter
god.
The
B,
That's
Akasha
so
network.
everything,
inefficient
right? And then
if they don't have a
B,
search
The
Valadier.
engine.
Ah, finally,
the Akasha network was kind of
the
like
Akasha.
search engine when it was around, you could just ask
Yeah.
a question and receive an answer.
But it's gone, right? They just have to manually go through all the files. Scaramouche, Kunikuzushi, Balladeer. Ah, delete, delete, delete.
Bro, it's like deleting your search history.
You think you could have a "Hey Erminsul" command? Hey Erminsul, what happened in Kynria?
Oh no.
Bro,
It
Hmm.
starts
that's literally
flaming up.
I can't answer that
that's,
right now.
that's literally just Alexa.
What's that thing in the
Erminsul's like
sky?
We
Oh, it
have
looks
Despacito.
like a nail.
All right, we have a question in chat. Since Irminsul can be changed, and with it the written and memorized history of Tibet, how much of Tibet's history is... What do you guys think of that?
Ooh.
What really defines real?
Um,
Uh,
well, this is kind of why I feel like the Battle Pass story might be an allegory to the twin story because the end of it, Venti's like, this is your story. And
Mm-hmm.
even though the information in that is not one to one, um, because obviously you can play it as Lumine, for example, and it suddenly doesn't make sense if, if the rules are reversed, but they're not reversed in the cutscene, right? But like if it's an allegory, little details like that don't matter because it's going to be an embellished story anyway. So I feel like there might be several cases where something has been rewritten, like Nameless Bard. Why is he nameless?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd he go?
Where'd he go?
Did Venti
Where'd he
just
come from?
did he just ever give Venti his name?
Hmm.
Varys Melancholy?
You're my homie. I care about you so much, but I don't know your name.
What?
Also, with the Pyro Ascension material, the name kind of being redacted, it could have been a name that kind of existed before, but now no longer does, and that's why it's like blocked out,
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
see.
that's a good one. Yeah.
And I feel like the
Oh, I just
only record we can kind of rely on is the traveler's recollection or the traveler's memories. I feel like that's like the only kind of truth that we can rely on because we know that traveler doesn't come from this world, hence they're kind of immune to airmental changes. So I feel like their recollection of events is the only thing we can trust right now.
Reminds
name
me of
is redacted because official like it's more of a literary technique, honestly. Like official doesn't want to like it's a different person altogether. I think that's why Amy is redacted from official story.
Oh,
reminds me of
so
Zhongli's story quest. I forget which one it was, but he was very aware of the traveler's existence as like a record of everything that happens in
Yeah, the
Tibet
first
and
one. Yeah.
being a witness. Yeah.
yeah, the Archon's like relations with like the Traveler are just so like mysterious sometimes. Obviously, we have like Venti like sort of like meet even with his opening like voice line, it sort of like suggests that he's met him before, which is already a massive no by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did what they call this a dive as a 3 a.m. thoughts on why do the archons really need the traveler, as a god. And one fascinating find was that each of the archons have their own purpose for keeping the traveler around, which is really fascinating. For Zhongli, it was like for Zhongli and Venti, it was because they're aware of how erosion works. For a example, it was a way of preserving legacy. I think in one of her voice lines, she actually says that if the traveler was there 500 years ago, that thing, it could have been stopped. I don't know what that thing is, but A just ominously says that in the traveler's memory, she and Inazuma will be preserved, which is that's a really big responsibility, lady. I just I'm here for my sister.
And because it perfectly aligns with her ideals of eternity, the traveler is kind of her way of accessing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot we had a sister.
Oh, bro,
The real end game
Well,
for you, Mints, is
Anywho.
staying sleep.
beautiful.
I want to experience what you went through when Scaramouche finally became playable. One day, one day.
Copious joy.
Teyvat went through so much loopholes that Endgame isn't your sister anymore. He's turned male and it is now a tall abyss man with a
That's
mask
all
on his
blonde.
All
head.
abyss, man.
Ooh, I remember that theory. Aether was Dane Sleep was Aether's future. Oh, even if you're
Oh
playing regular
yeah,
Aether. That was a
yeah, I
wild,
remember
wild
that.
time.
That was a long time ago.
Wait,
Was, right?
so the series says Dainsleif is Aether from the future?
Yeah, like it's one of those really old theories that because Genshin didn't have a lot of backing, like we had no idea who Dainsleif is. He was just this narrator voice. Ooh. And the trailer was like Lumine's gone. So everyone thought that Dainsleif was a traveler ether in the future. It was so fascinating, right? Because you would have the
Mm-hmm.
Lumine MC people start to ask, "What about us?" And then they were just like, "Oh, you're also Dainsleif." I was like,
You're
"What?"
Everyone's
actually
Okay.
the
Danes. Are there
Dainsleif.
any other Daneslips I should know about?
Can the real Dainsleif
Like,
please
what?
stand up?
Literally.
The Levine fans
Also,
were so confused.
confusion. There was also Nets said the thing that I was about to mention too, where I feel like that theory that Aster brought up also was prevalent around the time that everyone thought that Dainsleif was Piero. You remember those
Oh.
days?
Yes, that's true. Oh,
I remember that. Oh my god.
there was
Deep
a
Genshin lore.
news article
Wait,
that said that.
what is
A
the
news
logic behind
article.
that? What? Wait, what? Seriously, what is the logic behind that? Dainsleif is Puro.
It's
Oh,
because like
technically, right?
Dainsleif's mysterious.
And that's the
Both
only
from
similarity?
Conrian. Yeah, both from Conrian. Both,
Well,
against the Abyss Order. So
well, I have,
maybe something happened with the people of Conrian.
well, I
That was
have
a
something to
old
say.
theory.
Kai is also mysterious. Come on.
Yes, Piero
Yeah.
confirmed.
Everyone from Conry is Piero.
Yeah, honestly, I thought this at some point. Everything
If
changed
you
when Winter's
combine
like,
every single voice of every single carrion, you somehow get Piero's voice because it's just so shambled.
I is fair.
But anyways, going back on like redaction and like how information is like redacted from like certain character stories, there would redaction would only come, just like in the real world, redaction would only come from one source. And in Genshin Impact, we know there's this giant island that also does all of the controlling from behind the curtain. And it's that giant, it's that island, the island that like just got its 3D model and stares far in the sky. It's Celestia.
Yay, everyone loves Celestia,
We love
especially the Archon.
Celestia.
Definitely.
Yay.
Genuinely not planning to overthrow it.
Ugh.
Nope. Nothing suspicious is going on here.
What if it just falls one day, right? And
Oh,
gravity.
I would love that.
Like
Poor
Gravity.
Frontman.
I kind of hope
Maybe that
Celestia
has its
falls on
own rules.
us.
Dang.
Like a really big nail.
Like, yeah, it's gonna be the mother of all nails, literally. It would be so nice if the Celestia in the sky just literally fell on us. And then you just see it getting closer and closer and closer. Oh, that would give me chills.
What is that? Make a wish, honey. Oh, it's the gods.
Oh my god.
There is a theory
Alright.
too that the Celestia we see floating in the sky is not actually the real Celestia, and the real Celestia is actually the
Yeah.
gateway realm that we see in the opening of when we load up the game.
Yeah,
Ooh.
That's an interesting theory.
that's
So
a
it's
really
kind
good
of
one,
like,
yeah.
yeah, because it's kind of like if you have this floating island in the sky, everyone can see it. There's something tangible, so people think Celestia is there, but it's actually farther than we originally thought.
Yeah. There's also this another theory going around of like Celestia are well, how do I put this? Imposters.
Imposter?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You're sus.
that's the most straightforward way to say it. Yeah, they're imposters. The series says that like there was a original Celestia with like Primordial One and like Fanis and all of his four shades and like Venti and stuff. But then, supposedly there was like other people or like other beings that came from some kind of other place and overthrew them. In like imitated them, and like because they imitated them, like everyone still believes it's Celestia, right? But like there's still signs that it's not the real Celestia because if you explore through every single like hidden region, like Dragonspine, Chasm, Iconomia, you find these like wall paintings and all that stuff showing about like presumably the original Celestia and like what they originally were doing, like their original view on the world and what they did originally to like the region. And they all also share like the same patterns. Like all of the wall paintings are the same, all of the patterns are the same. Chasm, Agonomia, Dragonspine, like all of the like ancient architecture there are at least somewhat similar. So this theory claims that because they're similar, this Teyvat used to be like one single region with like one single like country or like supposed like society living in there. But then other Celestia came, the imitators, the imposters, they came, they dropped 3 giant Stifrost nails and then blew them all up. And then they manipulated everyone now to believe that they're actually Celestia. That's
And
the
they lived
theory,
happily ever after.
I mean,
supposedly.
if you're strong enough to do that, you're probably already Celestia at that point. Just you are Celestia.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Conquest is a very powerful thing in Genshin.
Hmm. So
But
about that
Mm.
fake Celestia in the sky, do you think that could like because it's visible from
yeah,
almost all areas of like overworld Teyvat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
do you think that could almost don't quote me on this, but do you think representative of the Panopticon? An empty
Ooh, that's really
Ooh.
cool.
thing,
That's a great
tangible
take.
thing
Um,
in the sky,
wait, let me
and
find
it's like
something.
looking at you, and like you don't know if it's actually there, but you see it, you might as well act like it actually is.
That is so interesting, actually. That is
It's a
well,
great
that gave me chills
take.
actually, especially when if you remember, because just for a viewer context, Panopticon is a disciplinary concept brought to life in the form of a central observation tower placed within a circle of prison cells. And if you remember from the Genshin Impact webcomic, a lot of people commented that when Vanessa was entering Celestia, it looked like prison cells.
Big
Um,
Brother's
Mm-hmm.
watching you.
so
Mm-hmm.
there's
Chills, actual
a
chills.
oh, I see.
there's a loading
I see what's
screen
going on
text.
here.
It says
Hmm.
it's about the statue's lost oculi. So, statues of the Seven once watched over the land with elemental oculi. They have since been pecked out and carried to far flung corners of the world. So, like, I feel like there's some truth
Ooh.
to Celestia or even just the Archons watching over the land in various ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I mean that's what elemental oculi do, right? They're literally watching over everything. And so if there's any connection between the statues of the Seven to whatever that floating island is, could check
Oh,
out.
that's
Hmm.
so interesting.
Like
I wonder if
security
that's
cameras.
why every single region we collect oculi in, you're always left with one.
That's
Oh,
interesting. Oh my god, they're like observing the traveler's journey.
whoa.
Yeah, oculi are evil. This is why I don't collect them.
Oculi are evil.
So true.
True. Sumeru.
Or they might be
Don't
somewhat evil.
explore.
Wait,
As
what if only the ones from Inazuma and onwards are evil? Because the first 2 regions give you stamina.
Mm.
Mm.
Can't believe we stopped giving
Koyo,
Mm.
give us
stamina.
more stamina or else we'll think you're evil.
You forgive Sumeru, because Sumeru gives you stamina flowers, but Inazuma, nah.
no, 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 no.
I think there's actually a lot of merit to the surveillance theory. I guess that's like what we
Yeah.
should, I'll be calling that. I think
Surveillance
even the
theory.
archons, it's easier in the tongue. Um, like in a way, like right, like the current archons that we have now, a lot of them have something to do with surveillance. For example, Kazuha
Right.
always says that the wind is like. It's watching. That is as creepy as that's gonna get if you think of Venti. Um, but you also have at one point Rex Lapis was watching over the people of Liyue. Like the Archons
Mhm.
are in a way surveying their people, or well, in a more literal sense, Nahida. Um,
Mm.
The
at one
Akasha,
point,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So if
I
they can do it, so can they. Up
True.
there.
True.
I used to have a crack theory a very long time ago. You know that like
I like crack.
like the
Okay.
Crack,
I forget what it's called, but it's like the
crackhead
Adeptus
theory.
abode way up high in the sky. Um,
Oh.
it's made of plastrite, right? And plastrite is basically like windy rock. And like we learned
Mm-hmm.
in Zhongli's second story quest that like I mean Kunjun, who was Aishaha, could like basically see memories from inside rocks.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I feel
Right.
like Zhongli could definitely do that. And also like the wind is going to pass information around, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
wind could kind of be broken down into like tiny little wind spirits that bring little stories everywhere and memories.
Hmm.
So like if
Mm.
Plastrite is like windy rock, then like could Venti and Zhongli both use it as like a surveillance camera? It's like a way of
Literally
hiding
What?
floating.
Look at this
Like,
guy.
They're literally using the wind and the mountains to look at you and fucking.
You think
Oh
they
god,
just laugh
sorry.
at people like passing by? It's like, oh, look at that guy. He could pee in himself.
What?
What?
There's like Venti's just
No, no, no.
like drunk somewhere, just like going around, watching
I
people on site
refuse.
go around there every day.
I refuse
It's
to
good
believe this is what they
entertainment.
do in their pastime. No.
Can we call
Oh,
them
did you
spy
know
nuggets?
though? Fun fact: Nahida's hobby is watching The Traveler. Just thought I'd like share that piece of information.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
that's what she says. Like her hobby is, oh, I watch you all the time, all the time. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just here. You know,
It's
it's
all
so
she
it
knew.
was
Gross.
so
Alright.
All
Then
she
if the
knows.
Archons can do that, then if the Archons can do that, what about like that one little floating thing that's always watching us?
also plus right.
Also, plush rights everywhere.
Paimon.
Alright, that's
Plus,
Spy
right?
Paimon.
Paimon is
Paimon.
made of plustrite.
Oh,
Paimon, no,
Omnia.
you can't eat Flustrite.
My
Paimon's so
TCG lore.
CG lore.
The Omni element, Paimon. So true.
Especially when you think about her cards in the TCG, I believe one of them is she gives you like 2 Omni Element die, right?
yeah.
Yeah, one
She
of
It's
them
always
converts
is
like
2,
she converts like 2 useless dice into 2 Omni dice.
2 Omni
there's
die. And
there's
it's
two
always
Paimon
2.
cards. Yeah.
What does the
One of
second one do
Maybe,
again?
one of them converts
maybe.
2 dice into Omni element. The other one it's the recost,
It
and then it gives
yeah.
you 2 Omni element at the start of each round, so you get 4 dice from the recost.
It's
Yeah,
always
you get
Sis,
2.
those
like
are
4
like,
for 3.
surely those are
That's a
like
good
the
deal.
cycles of Genshin, right? Like every
Mhm.
time the protagonists die off, then she takes 2 random people and she turns.
Right.
Reminds me of do
Ooh.
you guys remember Albedo's story quest? Um he had a hypothesis, and he's like he kind of like discarded it, but it was like what if Paimon's the one like bringing the elements to the traveler?
Right. Yeah. He
Right?
does say something
Yeah.
curious like that. Yeah. He says kind of like Paimon is strong enough to reverse the flow of a river or even level a mountain.
What?
Yeah.
That's
What did he say?
interesting. Yeah.
There's I remember telling Mince this, but in the 2.2 event with Shiki Taisho, Paimon was the one that actually opened up the conversation about people that were sealed and lost their memories. She tells a story
I
about
remember
that
this.
during the 2.2 event. I remember reading that. It was so horrifying.
Oh. Oh, now that you say it again, that gave me chills. Ooh.
Mm,
Paimon sus. Paimonial one.
Paimon says
I
Venti is
hope she doesn't
nightmare.
betray us, though. I
Oh,
don't want her
that
to
would be really
betray us.
sad.
I feel
I
like
feel
there's
like if
been
she had oh sorry, go ahead, Leah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like there's been so many like references to it, like little references and like everywhere, like Angel and Venti and Zhongli, and like I feel like so many people have been suspicious of her, and like important people that know things too, not only like random NPCs. So
yeah, but
Right.
it also feels like most NPCs are like just feels like she's like normal. Like most other NPCs and characters that we meet like through like quests and events, besides Archons, just find her to be there. Like even Albedo, she just calls her this floating child and acts as if nothing is wrong.
well,
Just
he
feels
does
weird.
want to research her though.
I
And
think
we mean
I think he'd rather give her to Sucrose.
safe go.
I wonder if it's a red herring. Like, just because there's so many people saying that she's sus, the real
Mm-hmm.
intention is that she's not actually sus, you know? Like, it's too
Oh,
obvious of an outcome.
misdirection.
Yeah, it's a
Could definitely
misdirection.
be a thing.
True.
Would
She's like,
not be the
there's too
first time.
many. Yeah, honestly.
Oh, that's mad interesting. Now it's just kind of like, yeah. And that also reminds me of the early theories about Paimon being the unknown god.
Oh, those ones.
Mm.
That's the real
Oh
nostalgia.
boy.
The
The real
ancient
nostalgia.
Back in my day, Paimon was the unknown god.
I can't believe this design element also correlates to the unknown god. Oh my god, this is
And
such
then
a
like when they revealed there were
groundbreaking
4 shades,
innovative.
everyone was like, "Oh."
We're like, oh no, which one is she?
Oh, there were 4. Oh. I see.
Oh god,
Pa-
we have to
well,
count now.
Paimon, the god of time, though, is actually a pretty cool one. Like, it's a
Yes.
fascinating theory.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty good too. The thing is, we just don't
Paimon,
know anything like at the moment,
Paimon
so
being
it's hard to
Nahidad.
say.
Paimon being
Paimon
Nahida.
being Nahida.
No,
No,
no.
not being like
Yep,
Nahida
math checks
herself, but
out.
like what happened to Nahida, where like she's like the purest branch of the Urban Soul tree, like reborn, because she was think about it,
Yeah.
reborn,
Yeah.
lost her memories, but she's also her own person now. Paimon being in a similar situation to that, maybe.
At least
You're
she can
right.
still fly.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Good for you, Paimon. Good for you.
Do you think Paimon could be even older than Conry or existed before that? Like so is asking. Can't word. Can't speak.
Oh, yeah. I
I honestly
I
don't
think
know much
Paimon's
about
ancient.
it.
She old.
Like, there's also this theory going around that Paimon's actually the primordial one.
Primordial one.
Okay.
It's
Paimon
because
Yeah.
of the
one.
crown. It's because of the crown. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
that one's also going around. Um, a
Yeah, and also
really
the
good.
symbol.
Mhm.
Like the symbol on like the clothing. Like there's this sort of like weird like triangle weird thing symbol, right?
Mm.
That one.
The
And
Trichedra.
that corresponds with a whole lot of stuff. And that it corresponds like beyond Genshin itself. It corresponds to other games.
Well, it's Celtic symbol. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
From
It's also shown on Mora. It's shown on the Genesis crystals, and it's also shown on. If I remember correctly, there's like, there's this like Honkai character, like from Honkai.
Mhm.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
the
know if it's good.
Cecilia family crest. It's
Yeah,
literally Cecilia flower. So it's Cecilia. It's also the abyssal stars in the spiral abyss.
A
Um,
bussy.
it's like it's like everywhere basically. It's also the imaginary symbol in Honkai, but
yeah. The imaginary. Yeah,
I've been under fire for connecting that before because I haven't played Honkai yet, so I can't speak on that. Oh yeah.
Oh, but that's not fair for you to get under fire though. I feel like because we're so early in the story, I feel like people should let their lore brains go crazy because we literally don't know anything. You know?
I agree. I agree.
yeah, and because like Honkai's story has gone so far till now, yeah, you're obviously gonna get fired upon if you haven't known the complete story yet. But
Mhm.
there's like imaginary basically just is like means imaginary. There isn't like some hidden deeper meaning within it. It's basically just imaginary like thought up creatures or gods or
Mhm.
whatever.
And like how all of
Uh
Teyvat's imaginary.
Yep,
No, don't do this
definitely.
to me.
no, no, no,
And
no.
then
No,
he
no,
woke up.
please, please.
It was all a dream.
I don't know if I can handle Final Fantasy X all over again.
Oh my god.
Honestly, yeah, that's true. I don't think I'm ready for that.
It's
I mean,
literally.
they chapter 1, imaginary friends are real. Albedo's alchemy basically works like he draws things as like a visual guide. If he understands how something is like created, he can recreate it just with alchemy from
Ooh,
his imagination.
and it comes to
Yeah.
life.
Oh my gosh,
Except that
no.
Except that there's this weird star like somewhere everywhere, and somehow
Mhm.
some people can hide the star, and then the star somehow reappears again after they hide it
Hmm.
because lore and imposter
Because
stuff.
lore.
Everything is because
Because
lore.
lore and because we have to add an imposter because Albedo said so.
Albedo said so.
I, I don't know what they were doing with that storyline, but more power to you, Hoyo. Good luck
With the
with whatever you're doing with
Suspedo,
life.
flower Beto,
Yeah.
and
I
regular Beto.
love I love that event with my whole heart. I
It
love
was
it.
a really good event. Yeah. Oh, so Superboy said something to you, Leah. Your description of Albedo sounds awfully similar to an incomplete Hersher of Reason, with how they can recreate something if they know it completely.
Interesting. I wish I've played Honkai so I could like actually talk
Oh, so
about
like
that lore and
Bronya?
connect it.
You're doing
But
great
like
connections though.
It's well, there's a
in
reason. Like I've played a bit of Honkai before. And like honestly, Albedo and Hersher reason when you actually like put the two and compare them together, it's sort of it's sort of hard to piece them together. If you don't know, Hersher of Reason is also a god that can create like stuff out of nowhere, but
Mm.
like the main character that uses the power, which is Bronya, Honkai is set in more of like a futuristic universe with like machines and stuff. So basically, she uses it to create a motorcycle and also these giant laser cannons everywhere to shoot the target with like 100 million laser cannons so that they die instantly. I don't think Albedo can create laser cannons.
Not yet,
Not
at
No.
that we
least.
know of. Yeah, I like their reason. I like her
Yeah.
thinking. Not that we
so
know of.
I feel like
Einstein?
the art of chemia and alchemy in general, I feel like each region, kind of like how each region has its own like ley line conditions and stuff, and like little nuances there. I feel like each region has its own form of alchemy. So in Mondstadt, it just seems to be alchemy. um, and then in Leah, it's like there's thaumaturgy and there's the deptal arts. And in Yasuma, there's oh my god, what's the name of it? But it's like the same technique that created Scaramouche. Um,
The puppetries, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, and etc. And I feel like basically what these things do is that they tap into the elements and the life that is naturally within the ley lines. Because if you think about like alchemy's whole thing, it's like Albedo always talks about how, something lives and then when it dies, like the life becomes dust and returns to the ley lines. Like that's I think that's essentially what happens. Like everything returns to the ley lines. And then with alchemy, you can use the dust of old life and create new life. And I feel like where the art of chemia is involved in like just different alchemy types in general, it's like with your imagination, you can shape that energy into what you want it to be. And so I feel like having a strong sense of imagination um, will help you, and also understanding about the world around you, right? Like Albedo
Mhm.
sketches things as like studies, like he's studying the world around him so he can better like create things. Um, I feel like it's like literally creating things from your imagination with this energy, just like tapping into ley line energy. So, I mean, I don't know the extent of like what it can do, like if you're someone who's like really powerful, but like I think it's interesting that Albedo can. Like, I feel like he's utilizing all seven elements without a vision, kind of like what Alice does. Like Alice doesn't need a vision; she's a magical sorceress because she probably taps into ley line energy. And Albedo didn't care about getting his vision when he received it. He's like, yeah, this is cool, but I'm focused on alchemy. So I don't know. Thoughts. Thoughts.
Mm.
Hmm.
Bit of a tangent.
Oh, we love and adore
It's a really
tangents.
fascinating take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
very cool take.
Thank you.
So speaking about tangents and Albedo, we might Let's talk about the place he's living in. Specifically the city, also near the place that he's living in. That's also on an island. It's in the middle of a lake. It's in the middle of a region. You all know where it is. If you played Genshin, you probably know where it is, unless you open it for like 2 seconds and then closed it. It's Mondstadt.
Yay. All right, Mondstadt's a super interesting place, and obviously the best region.
Oh, hello, Bran.
There's just something happening there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, one topic about Mondstadt, which like I am genuinely surprised that like not much people are talking about this. Like it passed. It like was there during the event, but then it just passed like almost instantly. Like people talk about it for a bit, but it just vanished. Like because Wanderer lore and stuff. So what I'm talking about is the instance of Varka. Varka perhaps meeting like Capitano in Natlan, and also Mika coming all the way back to just issue that letter. This could be a massive like base for speculation, and it could start like building the bridge towards like endgame Mondstadt because Varka is going to inevitably get involved. So what do you guys
Mm-hmm.
think?
Oh, this is hard. Hmm. Wait. I think that the current lore that we have for Mondstadt is very, very incomplete. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's not much connections that we can
Mm-hmm.
form.
And
However, we can still speculate on one thing, and that's called interludes. So
So,
uh,
currently,
so in terms of Varka, I feel like we don't have a lot of information. We've had like little foreshadowing things here and there, like we might see him come back at some point and return as Grandmaster, or we might see him in Natlan or something like that, or maybe even Fontaine. Um, but we still don't have a lot of information on him. When it comes to Mondstadt's lore in general, I feel like um good stories will always like their conclusions are always going to reference their prologues, right? Or their chapter ones. And Mondstadt's
Mm-hmm.
story wasn't even chapter one, it was the prologue of the game. And so I would expect that the epilogue of the game should have something to do with Mondstadt. So I feel like we'll probably come full circle whether during the Conria chapter or after it, and just address some loose ends that really haven't been expanded on at all. Because like Mondstadt's lore, I don't want to say it was like very superficial. Like it was exposition to
surface
the game as
level.
a whole. Yeah, it was very surface level. That's a good way to put it. And then it's like as we continue on to other regions, like we get so much
Mm-hmm.
more in depth. Especially with Inazuma and Sumeru, very very fleshed out. Like we can track things, and like we've been getting holes filled in Liyue's plot since Liyue's Archon quest. We have like the whole chasm thing and Shao's interlude quest and things like that. And like we haven't really touched back on Mondstadt at all. Like we've had two story quests for two of our archons, and I wonder if we'll even get Nahida's second story quest before we get Venti's. Um,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if Mondstadt just kind of lulled us into a false sense of security. Like you feel safe there, you feel like it's at home there, and then the final battle ends up being right there in
There.
Mondstadt.
Yeah.
And you know how we were, it's interesting not to make this a whole symbolic thing where we loop back to what we talked about in the beginning of the podcast about things quite literally being a loop. So an interesting point that Leah made was that Mondstadt is actually the prologue chapter. It would be very poetic of Genshin to kind of fulfill that whole loop narrative and have us circle all the way back to Mondstadt for the ending or for the finale. Because I always had this wonder about the Dandelion Sea. Is it actually a Dandelion Sea, or is it an allegorical way of, or is it just an allegory for the Sea of Intebat flowers?
mm,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
dandelion, see, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
There's
So
just
that was a thing that I was thinking about after the whole Archon quest. So I was like, oh, what if it's not actually a dandelion? See? Question mark.
or could it
Mondstadt
be
seems to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
or wait, or could it be? So recently when I was doing my research on Mondstadt, I couldn't really find anything because it was mostly just surface level stuff until I'm going to source one of our lovely guests here, Minsleif. Until I came across this YouTube short Minsleif made. It was a while ago, but it dipped our toes into some tiny little details that we haven't feel like that have surfaced up, but still don't form like a solid like solution together, but are still like tiny little details that have somehow surfaced up. One fact about it, tiny little detail has been here since the very beginning. If
Hmm.
you look in the central map of like Mondstadt, if you look in the lake, if you squint and like really look in there, you will see tiny little shadows in the lake. Now, where have we seen these shadows?
The ruins.
One prime example is in Inazuma, where we find the robot boss, like the Lego weird robot thing that breaks into
Oh,
pieces, right?
wait. I know what
Mm.
you're talking about Glitaku. Glitaku. I wrote a thread about this a very long time ago, actually. So you mean like the
Oh.
little shadowy areas
Little
under Cider
shadows.
Lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like these dark spots on the map, like where water is, have typically represented like there's something underneath the water. And like we know that Tevat has flooded in many places. Um like there's let me see if I can, I'm in the game right now. Let me see if I can find the domain.
There's
But
also the Nameless Island. If you actually look like deep into the water, the ruins go all the way far down.
yep, there is
It's
an
not just
entire
like the
bridge.
little part,
Mm.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bridge that connects
And a
to the mainland that's
staircase.
completely sunken and stuff like that. And like if you remember Golden Apple, all of that lore, like Golden Apple Archipelago, those islands were created by Venti, basically sending land from Mondstadt like away.
Mm-hmm.
And so Musk Reef was once Pilos Peak, one of the tallest like mountains that like people couldn't
Mm-hmm.
climb in in Mondstadt. And also the Nameless Island was probably also elevated. So all of this like water between those points and like the actual coast of Mondstadt could have been land. And so who knows what is under the water, and also who knows like what secrets are still in the Golden Apple Archipelago with like all that land there.
You know what's really
Um,
Yeah.
interesting? Venti accomplished all of that when he ascended to Archonhood, right? So
Mhm.
was he told by Celestia to do that? Because if you look at all the islands he kind of threw into the sea, they're all related, or presumably they're all kind of related to the primordial civilization. So was he asked to do that?
it's a good
Could
question.
they
Ooh,
be
that's
red
a really good
herrings?
take.
Could they
Yeah, is
wait?
that why he's so like apprehensive when talking about Celestia? He seems kind of fearful of them. Like I know he jokes about
Mm,
them having like, you know, their water sucks, they don't make good wine, but he looked kind of apprehensive about Celestia when talking to Vanessa about it in the Genshin Impact
mhm.
webcomics.
Yeah. Like the theme of water and like flooding and stuff has been like recently just surfacing more and more. Like in Sumeru and Port Olos, also
Mm.
find like this tiny little detail that's just on this sign somewhere that says like Mondstadt is opening a port called Port, I think like
Yes.
Duormos or something. Yeah,
Dorman
Mm-hmm.
Port, yeah. Which has
So
Dormo
interesting
Port.
lore
Yeah.
to it already.
if you read the description for Violet Court Domain in Inazuma, it says, sometime in the ancient past, the mountains rose higher than the skies and the earth was larger than heaven's dome. But one day the mirror shattered and the oceans arose. In these legends, this caused the court of the primeval Sakura to become sundered from the other islands. So like, yeah, there is a theme of flooding across all the regions,
Mhm.
I think. Um
This
interesting.
reminds me of the arc. You know how
Yeah,
there
Noah's
used to
Ark.
be,
Mhm.
yeah, when after the incident with the seven dragonaires, there was an entire situation with with the 40 days of
Hey.
frost and the 40 days of fire. The ones in the
Mhm.
you days in the lore of the Prayer's artifact set, Tivat went through really, really big changes. Eternal, it was like really long
Hey,
winters, then
Aster,
really harsh fires. Yeah?
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I just want to
Oh,
say
yeah,
that we
no,
are
go ahead.
halfway through this episode. Thank you all for listening in. We will be taking
Water break.
5-minute intermission.
I'm so
break.
sorry.
Yeah.
No worries, no
Tiny
worries.
little
I'm gonna get my
intermission.
coffee.
I'm just sitting here drinking tea. I wish I had coffee.
Yeah, we
But
need a. If you didn't hear that completely correctly, we need to do a little bit of a 5-minute intermission because we're already halfway through this.
It's break.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell
Aster
me
was
you're
Little,
going to mute us
little
all.
water break.
If you would do not, maybe taking time.
all right.
Intermission.
Hi, chat.
Hello, chat.
Chat.
I want to talk with them, but I forgot the password to my Twitch.
Oh no! I just saw you had a Twitch channel live with Aster. I followed immediately.
You see, I lost the password, so let's just say that there will be a new channel. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at
Alright, we're back.
Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to One More Cup of Coffee. We've had our 5 minutes of coffee? Yeah,
5 minutes
oh,
of rehydration.
yep. Everyone remember to take breaks, hydrate yourself, and listen to the podcast. All right, so Aster, where were you again? If you can remember that.
Yeah, we gotta press undo real quick. Come on. Control Z. Aster is having a bit of an error.
Forgot my coffee. Anyway, so yeah, the mention of the flooding, I th- it's actually kind of fascinating if one day what if Tivat goes to that same arc like flood. I think the term was antediluvian. Ooh, big word, Hoyo.
Mm.
Referring to
Ooh, that was
things that were
hot.
before the flood. Yeah. Thanks, Hoyo. Expanding our grammar here. So I wonder if what you guys are saying about the mysterious places with the floods, the water levels rising. What if that's uh uh that's a precursor to another potentially world-changing event?
I
Maybe.
just realized something too. So the whole
Hmm.
reason why the flood happened in the Bible was because the earth was like incredibly sinful. So it was kind of God's way of like resetting everything. And I just realized if you think of the way Kaya refers to the Conrians, he refers to them as the sinners. And it's also kind of the word sin has been thrown around in various different artifacts and books in Genshin Impact. And it all has to pertain either with Conria or sometimes loosely implying like the primordial civilization. So I wonder if like that's another kind of soft confirm that those floods were meant to wipe out those primordial civilizations.
I that makes me think of a few interesting things. Um, so like actually we saw a little bit of this in the 3.4 trailer with Al Haitham talking about the six cardinal sins, and Sino's character
Oh
story
yeah.
5 also goes
Yes.
over them in detail. Like
Oh, the
it
cardinal sins.
lists
Wait.
them out. And
What were
Albedo
the two ones that
violates
he mentioned again? What were the two ones that he
Albedo.
mentioned again?
I
Never
don't
mind. You
think
continue.
I don't think Al Haitham mentioned. Maybe he did. I think it was like human evolution stuff like that. But I'm just gonna read Sino's character story 5, like this bit about it, because it highlights them all. To prevent researchers from being devastated by their own knowledge, the sages laid out 6 cardinal sins. They held that all crimes in the world derive from these 6 sins. The first is to interfere with human evolution. I'll hate them mention that one in the live stream.
Yeah.
The second is to tamper with life and death. The third is to delve beyond the universe. The fourth is to investigate the origin of words. The fifth is to revere gods without acts of devotion. Daisley. The sixth
You
is
said
to
Dainsleif.
attempt
Okay.
the forbidden and fear none. So, yeah, 6 cardinal sins. And I wonder, because these are the ones the sages laid out, but like, how much do they reflect how the gods uphold things and punish people for like breaking them?
Right. They seem kind of heavy-handed because if you think about what they did to your boy Orobashi,
No, no.
My
pour
boy
one,
did not
pour one
deserve.
out for Orobashi.
Wait.
Like they do, like Celestia does seem heavy-handed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the
There
Asian
goes
mom
another
trope.
civilization.
Did you
You
just
gotta
say that
stop that
I'm
civil life.
dead?
Also, you know how Lieben kind of acts as like a lead-in to like new regions before they're released. So he talked about Fontaine when he was back recently in November,
You're right.
and
Yeah.
he was like,
Oh
Oh.
yeah. I didn't
Mhm.
read
uh,
his dialogue because I was lazy.
I have it up. I actually have it up right now. Um,
Oh, okay.
he says dark clouds were
So close.
gathering over Fontaine. Things just feel oppressive and dangerous, you know, like a storm is about to break out. The locals were pretty antsy, said judgment was soon to come or something like that. Mm.
Oh yeah, because Fontaine's like a massive like restart in terms of a lot of lore in Genshin. It's a restart in a new region. It's sort of restart in Fatui even because we currently like have no like crazy new Fatui to focus on except for the Torre. Like Scaramouche, Child, and Senora all have been done. Like the stories all have been pretty much done, and we have to have like two new Fatui to focus on, like new region, new Fatui, uh, new other stuff, just a whole lot of other stuff. Teases, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Aster.
I think Aster cut off.
Oh
Okay.
gosh,
That's
Aster.
fine.
Celestia, please let me speak.
Okay, we have her. She's
Oh
back.
god. No,
If
it's
you are
fine.
listening
It's
to me,
fine,
God,
everybody. It's fine. Look, you don't have to hear awkward silence anymore, at least for now.
I got snapped like the ballad here. I'm actually curious which harbingers would go into Fontaine since Dottore is just running around. He's already probably Dottore actually for Fontaine, considering they have this theme where the harbingers take two nations at a time, I think, except for Tartaglia.
Mhm.
But he's a playable
He's
character.
Mr.
So I don't know. He was in
International.
Inazuma. Yeah, he was in Inazuma, that event quest. So maybe Dottore would have Sandrone with him in Fontaine, or
There's also
Columbina probably.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this theme where the harbingers like sort of like trick each other, like with the pattern of Senora tricking Child, Scara tricking Senora, and finally the Torre tricking Scara.
Mm.
It's that one good
So
meme.
the Torre might get fooled, might get bamboozled next time. Maybe a little bit of revenge.
The Torre.
Mm. I was actually
Dottore.
hoping to see a little bit more of um Arlecchino. Karina.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just love them so much. And Columbina especially because maybe I'm getting my lore mixed up, but she's tied to the Sealy, and I feel like
Yeah,
there could
Steely.
be
Yes.
a
Yeah.
connection
Yeah.
to the
The theories, yeah.
Yeah, I really like
Yeah.
that theory.
We covered this
I
last
hope
time.
that's true. Please be
Mhm.
true. Oh, speaking of Arlecchino, did you know that apparently they found out she had a braid in the back? Like her hair isn't
Wait,
actually
yes.
Wait,
No
what?
way.
No way, what?
No
Where?
way.
That was a huge lore drop.
Yeah,
Wait,
everyone was
where?
so
How?
I
disappointed.
can't believe it.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry
can't
for.
believe it. It's character fashion, it's
So
character design. I cannot
What?
believe it. This
I
is
felt
such
so
a
bad
big
for
lore drop. Oh my gosh.
That was one of the biggest lore drops
Oh
of
my God.
2023 already. Was the fact that Arlecchino had a braid.
I'm in the middle
Yeah.
of drawing something for her, and you're telling me she has a braid?
Yeah, it turns
That's
out
a braid.
if you look at the side profile, with the Lazzo, like when they're all seated at the table. Oh, the coffin. They're seated at the
Table.
coffin. You can see like a little bit of
You
a
see
braid
it.
in her back.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Imagine they just
What?
start playing cards on the coffin.
Scaramouche wasn't there because he was the one holding the camera. That's why it was such a low angle.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Someone had to.
That is vicious. That is absolutely vicious.
Also, who is that? Kaya doesn't have a ponytail. I think it's something else. I just don't remember
Rat
what, but
tail,
it's not
right?
a ponytail. It's not like Kazuha. Yeah, I think that's what you call it. A rat tail.
A rat tail, yeah.
Also,
Oh yeah, a rat
I'm
tail.
yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like a sign of honor because in a lot of in a lot of cultures or traditions, like your hair is a sign of your your okay, I'm thinking Zuko from Last Airbender. It's like sign of, so you have to keep like that strand of hair in order to like prove that you're honorable or you're worthy or whatever. So maybe he's has
You're
ties to
thinking of
something.
you're thinking of Zuko from Avatar. I'm thinking of Aki from Chainsaw Man.
You know what? They work. But
They work.
I need to just watch Chainsaw Man so I can understand these references.
have you watched
It
Avatar:
looks
The
really
Last
good.
Airbender?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Rat tail of what you so bald with this is on there. Lexo, no.
I'm looking for the braid.
I
Oh, you're
just
still looking for the
there's
braid.
a braid. There's
It's
a
like
braid.
barely even there. It's there. It's there. Wait, let me take a screenshot real quick.
This is really important lore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
give us
like
a
so
second.
it's
We need to screenshot the important lore.
it's like when people found out that Rosaria had short hair and not actually like flowing hair because it looked like it from the veil, but the opposite way.
Okay, there we go.
That messed with my brain.
Look at it.
You'll never see Arlequin the same way ever again.
It's there. Yeah, you can barely even see it, but it's
all
there.
2 pixels of it.
All
Amazing.
2 pixels of it.
That's
My goodness.
What?
Come on,
yeah,
this
where?
is-
It's not there.
It's barely there. Like it's because her fur is
Yeah.
just massive. I didn't believe it for myself too.
Yeah, because if you follow like the hair strands, if you follow them down with like a finger and try to like trace over it, it sort of like goes into like a braid. Like you can, if you like barely even see the lines there, you can see it sort of combines into a braid.
So like she has like a ponytail and it's like a braid? Is that what I'm understanding from this? Like it goes like down your
Yeah.
back or something?
Mandela effect.
Yeah, like the
Hmm.
lower like the lower, let's say like the strand group of hair is sort of like going down.
Maybe
If
it's
you've
not
like
real,
studied
guys.
art before.
Are you sure she just doesn't have slightly longer hair in the back?
Yeah, maybe she does. Like maybe she has a Scalarmouche mullet. Maybe it's not really a braid.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, or a
Totally.
mullet.
Mullets.
Wait,
Mullet.
but I'm actually kind of curious. What kind of lore theories would have like stemmed from this? What is significant about it? Because you mentioned that a
The
lot of
braid?
things. Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. I just like short hair Latino.
No.
I just think she's.
I was waiting for like a lore significance, like the braid meant something, but
No.
Hmm.
There was a
she's
conversation
hot.
with Arlequino that was like,
I
wait,
accept that. I accept that though.
It's just a braid.
It's just the braid.
Arlecchino
She's
is
hot.
venti. So true.
maybe she just hot.
Actually, because she has a braid, she's actually Venti in disguise.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
Obviously.
braid's totally gonna look. Hear me out. The braid's gonna light up like Discord light mode when she uses her powers.
Oh
Discord
no.
I don't get why you guys don't
mode.
see it.
Honestly, maybe it's just like a bunch of pixels that like got out of control. But like once you see it, like you'll think it's a braid. Maybe it's not really a braid. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're just wrong. I want to be wrong.
Biggest
I don't
mystery.
know.
Ooh, don't put that on
That's
screen.
Avengers.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah, that's no
It's
way.
hair.
That's a
Oh,
braid.
more
That
sense
is
when you
not a
watch
braid.
movement. Here, wait. It makes so much sense when you see it moving. I see it now.
Pretend I do
Okay,
not see.
wait. Oh wait. This
Okay,
music
but
could
why
not be
does
played.
Pantalone look like Baiju? Is my next question. Like now that I'm
Dark
looking at it,
Baiju?
Oh my
They're
god.
twins. They're twins.
yeah,
He's
you
night
cannot
mode
tell me that,
Baiju.
Oh.
Baiju after hours.
Bro, you're gonna bring up the Yoimiya Kuki thing again.
Oh my gosh,
Yoimiya.
yes, that's true.
Braid.
Yeah, it's like once you see it moving, now it looks like a braid.
Yeah.
Doomed.
No way.
Final form
I
of
swear we're here to talk about lore.
What do you
That would
mean?
be
This
cool
is
if
lore.
if Columbina did kind of look like a biblically accurate angel as like one of her final
Yeah.
forms,
Yeah,
that'd
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
That
There's
would be
also like
Please,
amazing.
please, yeah.
there's also like this animation which recently popped up about like the Fatui fighting each other or something. And there's one part where
Yeah.
has like this biblically angel thing of like this spider like biblically accurate angel, and then she slowly opens her eyes, but then it cuts off. Bro.
Oh.
The fan designs in that fan made video were like they were given so much love, honestly, and attention to detail. I feel like they did such a good job.
Yeah, down from like the details alone. Like Sandrone, if I got his name right. I think it was like he didn't even have a vision. He was using his umbrellas and like knives and guns.
That was so cool.
It was such a
Yeah.
yeah.
I really hope he gets guns. That looked so fire. That looks so fire.
Like, because guns exist in Genshin, so just give
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Pantaloni a
Fatui
gun.
are
It's
using
probably
them
more
all over the
effective.
place.
You think there's a
Sniper
possibility of
Pantalone would be
more
cool, yeah.
weapon types in the future of Genshin, or is that just unrealistic?
I
The
want to whip
I mean,
problem
like,
with
weapons themselves already have a ton of lore. So you couldn't wouldn't be too far off.
We have an umbrella and we have a fish, so I think we can go further.
Agreed.
scythe.
It'd be nice if we could get like a scythe or like a whip.
I've
That'd be
whipped.
amazing.
Oh no.
Ooh. Honestly, brass knuckles. They were on something when they made Hazo. They were onto
Physical
something.
damage bonus
Like-
catalyst. Let's go.
Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
whoever made Hazo, just whoa. They were testing the waters, probably. I don't know.
Ooh. And what else? What else would be a good weapon type? I guess like oh yeah. Speaking of weapon type, we still don't have a cryo catalyst.
Mm.
Senora.
Hopefully,
Hopefully.
Sorry, it's
brands that I want
Destiny.
sites
Actually,
so
we're
bad, but I
coping,
think
we're
they just
coping.
texture a polearm.
Her name means
Yeah.
revival in some kind of context. Her name definitely means revival in some kind of context. We cope, we cope, we cope, we cope, we cope, we
We
cope.
cope. We cope.
Be cope, be
Cloud
cope, be
Tide
cope, be
says
cope, be
dual
cope.
wielded daggers, please. Hydro Claymore. I personally hope that
Oh my god, dual wield.
Daddy Varkusi is gonna have like double Claymore or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that would be
Cool.
so hot.
So heavy, but so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Have you
It's so
ever wished to
girthy,
be a
you know.
Claymore so bad?
I think
I
In
will
every
when Varka
single-
becomes playable.
When, not if.
when
Confidence,
exactly
I like
when?
it.
When
Speak him into
like
existence.
every single attack he does is like overloaded. Everything just gets fucking knocked back.
I want to feel the power through the screen. That's exactly what I'm paying for.
amazing.
Speaking of
fine
Varka,
with,
he.
like oh wait, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment. I was just saying that I think like texturing a polearm to be a scythe wouldn't be a bad idea either. Like, because
Right.
Hoyoverse put such like care into their animations, so it would probably feel authentic even if it's like
Yeah.
polearm
Absolutely.
character. But yeah,
Imagine
Absolutely.
if like
Mhm.
yeah. Imagine if like Sapapoma was like Cyphapoma.
Ooh.
God.
That
Come
would just
on.
that would just
Reskins, yeah.
top the game instantly. Like everyone would pull for it. It's
That'd be
already
really
OP
cool.
enough by itself.
Imagine if weapons have skins too. That'd be really cool because then you can get like a blue
Oh.
wolf's gravestone.
Ooh.
That'll be
Oh.
really expensive, though. I
Right.
can see it now.
Yeah.
Microtransactions.
Look,
the
look,
microtransactions.
we
They're
cope, we cope.
transactioning.
Wait,
We cope, we
no,
cope,
no,
we
no, no,
cope.
no,
Free-
no, no,
free
no, no.
skin,
Hear
free
my,
skin.
hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. They're gonna make weapon skins like TCG. You have to grind for them, like the dynamic skins in TCG. We're going to hope that they're going to make weapon skins if they ever release them to be like the dynamic skins in TCG, where they cost a bunch of fucking currency, but we can get them, we can grind them, we can grind, we can grind, we can grind. Oh yes.
Cope, 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 cope. We will certainly try. Man, I just want dual wielding guns, you know? That'd be so cool. Because you get the
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
really, really
Mhm.
cool.
That would be pretty
this
cool.
double revolver, like running around, flying around, jumping all over the place. We already have that like teased in like Zenless Zone Zero, that game. If anyone remembers that at all.
Yeah. Sendless Zone
Yeah.
Zero.
Oh, man. May that game have mercy.
There also, Brian was saying,
I
I think I'd love Scythe as its own weapon type, just so I could use it on any character that would use it, and the animation would work. Because polearm attacking characters right now wouldn't really fit a Scythe IMO. And Honkai has Scythes, I believe, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, they
true.
do. Yeah.
I
Speaking of weapons, oh sorry,
actually
Aster, go ahead.
no, I was just thinking of Zhang Li kicking a scythe. No, it wouldn't work with the current animation.
Oh,
No, it would not. Go ahead, finish your
Attractive
That's
though.
sentence.
true. That's
Attractive.
true.
Imagine Prime Adeptus Zhongli wielding a scythe. Oh baby.
yeah, like
Ooh,
Jolene,
ooh, the rock
Jolene
hard
with his
abs.
like Jolene with his like Archon skin already looks like might be like a hot Death Reaper or something.
Mm. I feel
Please.
like
Because he
if they
is like
ever sold Archon skins, those would sell like crazy.
Oh,
yeah,
trust
because he
me,
is
I would
like
buy the venti one.
Venti, oh my god.
oh my
Venti.
god.
Like
Oh.
on my way to C6 venti, and I have him triple crown. It's mm, no question.
It's,
Speaking of new weapon types, what do you think about the inclusion of new elements? Because when they did add Dendro, they did say that this is kind of the last element to a 7 element reaction system, but it doesn't bar them from introducing a future element system. So, for example, kind of like if they ever had a light element, it doesn't necessarily react with pyro, hydro, dendro, electro, etc., but it does react to like other elements within its reaction pool. There are some hints in the story that there are more elements that exist outside the current 7. So what do you guys think of that?
Where's that name
the
card?
like
There's a name
Oh,
like
card
it's
that
the
the
talks about
colors of
it.
the rainbow name
only
card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to find it.
we have got like some tidbits of like other foreign elements being used. Obviously,
Yeah.
Denslave,
I found it.
like prime example of him
Yo,
like
let's go.
choking that like abyss lector with like
Me
the
next. I
his
mean,
powers and stuff. It's okay. Man has telekinesis. It
Um,
feels like.
so there's a name card. It's called Colors of the Rainbow. And its description says light can refract into countless colors, but people stop at 7 because they're lazy to count. Perhaps the elements are like that too. So yeah, it kind of gives the impression that visions aren't as like one dimensional as they appear like in game mechanics and stuff, and
mhm.
that like the elements kind of bleed together in their own ways. And there might be elements beyond like what the people of Tivat can see. And we kind of see that with the travelers like abilities, like in the first like the intro cutscene to Genshin. They have this like white ability in their chests and like their other areas where it normally reflects like the other elements they gather in different regions, right? And so it
Mhm.
kind of implies their original powers are like white light, and if you refract white light through a prism, or if you shine it through a prism, it will refract into all these colors that you can see, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and just going off that as well, we know Dane's life in the abyss, they seem to have this like, I don't know, it's like galaxy power. I don't know, it doesn't really seem to be like a
It's a
normal
bossy
vision.
power.
Oh my
So,
god.
Oh my
It's like
gosh.
he runs very quickly. He summons shadow energy to choke you.
Mhm.
That's about it,
Please.
sadly. And you also see like during the opening cutscene, remember like the traveler goes hand and then fuse light
Mhm.
to create chemical reaction, which explosion, explosion. That's it, just explosion.
Also, if you look at the name card, if you look at the way all 7 elements are arranged and you take the size of each icon, it looks like there's 5 elements missing on that name card.
you're right.
Ooh.
So it's almost like
Oh.
it's a place, it's kind of like, oh, there's 5 elements missing, question mark, question mark.
Doesn't Dane have his
Mm.
own special element when they
Yeah.
released his card before? It was like in
Yeah.
jumbled
Oh yeah,
letters.
like the
Right.
Chinese character card. I remember.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
redacted text. It was just like a jumble. Like it almost looked like you had to decode it.
I almost wonder
ARs.
Oh.
if like one of the elements is like the Omni element, and then the other
Mm-hmm.
four would be like the different shades abilities or something.
Ooh. Because there's 4 shades plus the primordial, which would make 5 technically.
Omni
And the
Yeah,
being
that
primordial
could
one
be.
might be Omni.
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Mm.
So one
Mm,
Um
primordial one, 4 shades. That's 5. Math.
quick maths.
Amazing.
there's one element though already that is like unknown that we've been constantly been seeing, and we saw this in the chasm when the 2.6
Mm.
Arcane Quest interlude, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when the bright yellow light that's much more golden than Geo started flooding
Mm-hmm.
out, and then we have the purple one which represents the dark black and purple which represents the abyss. So if we were going
Right.
to have like two more elements, we can have those
Oh
two.
yeah. So like Xiao's like karma. Honestly, I've never really understood what karma even is. Like, what even is it? Is it just like abyss powers?
It's residue, if I'm not mistaken. It's
Mm-hmm.
like um in the developer insight for Shao, they mentioned that gods are not entirely do not entirely disappear even if they die. There's remnants of them that are left behind. And
Mhm.
vile gods, the ones that want revenge, for example, those that didn't go quietly during the Archon War, or those that have had really strong remnants, that's what's affecting Shao, like right now. Almost kind of like Orobashi in a way. Now that I really think about it,
Your boy
almost like
Wait.
Orobashi.
almost,
Oh
yeah.
wait. Wait. Could this connect up? Wait. This might be a bit of a copium theory, but Aster, like a day or two ago, he also made these tweets about Kale, right? And I thought of panels and the power, like the piss, like the residue within Kale, it awfully looked like a snake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm, mm. Could this be
It's
connecting to something?
Suspicious.
Uh,
well, you know how delusions are made out of, like they're quote unquote, they come from a god. Let's go with that. Delusions are quote
yeah.
unquote from a god. The harbinger's delusions are from the Saritsa allegedly, and the ones in the Inazuma Arcane Quest are made from the crystal marrow. So it's possible that Kale's powers are also from, well, their Archon residue. The question is, what demon god did they come from? Same with Deluxe Delusion. That was also like another manufacturer altogether, which has the same properties as what happened with Kale. So what if just there are different kinds of delusions and then different kinds of Archon residue because there's many demon gods out there.
Um,
Mm.
on that point, you know what this makes me think
Yeah.
of, Aster? The
Hmm.
Heart of Nibarius. Because
Yeah.
um
Oh.
that could be a
Oh wait.
gnosis, because the original Chinese and also the Japanese, they refer to gnosis as Heart of God. So in Nibarius, I'm pretty sure is a name in the demon book, right? Am I remembering that right?
Nibarius.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be an archon.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Rindaughter left.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe
Well,
Reinhardt had to deal with Reinhardt, while Albedo had to deal with Durin.
And if it is an Archon, which Archon would it be? Because there's the whole
um,
theory about like the Hydro Archon having killed a previous Hydro Archon, and that's why the Oceanids are no longer loyal to the current Hydro Archon.
oh yeah, that's a really
Mm.
nice theory.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's
I
like could
mean,
that have been the Heart of Nibirius? Hmm.
it's I don't think it's an Archon from the seven because there's two
Not the 7, yeah.
technically.
Not the
Yeah,
7.
the
There's no way
demon
that's
gods
the
are
7.
the 72. Like maybe like the Ars Goetia names are that's what they call them, like the demon gods.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you translate
Mhm.
the word Archon War in other languages, Ward of the Demon God. So maybe like Arabashi, Asayel, Guizhong. The list goes on. There's so many of them. 72.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's interesting because I think like there's other characters that kind of embody one of those 72 demons, right? Like one of them is it Amy or Fischl? Like Fischl is
Yeah, I
technically
was.
one of the demons as well.
I feel so bad for Fish. I wonder if it was just like an accident
Wait,
or a
wait,
red
wait, wait, wait,
herring.
wait, 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 wait,
I
wait.
wonder if
Because Amy was such a
Fischl's
common name.
Right,
Wait
right.
a,
I wonder if the story
It's
wait
like
a sec.
Fischl got her personality from
Barbados.
is like one of those like fairy tales that contains forbidden information.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's just
yeah, yeah.
I as much as I want to theorize that like oh Fischl's connected with the demon gods, I kind of don't want to because Amy is a popular name. It's like Barbados,
True.
Morax, Val, Amy.
It's Amy.
Amy. But it's also
But like,
like with Hoyoverse, I feel like nothing's coincidental, you know?
Dainsleif's great
That's
line.
true.
There's
But
no
I do want to give them like the
coincidence.
benefit
Yeah,
of the doubt. A
exactly.
little bit. I don't want to assume that Fischl's like an archon. A demon con.
but I mean, we already have two master species. You know, there's this Inazuma Island, and in the middle there's this Electro boss, right? And it's Thunderbird, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's
Thundering
another
Fury.
Thunderbird in the game. There's
Hmm?
two Thunderbirds in the game technically.
I do think it's
And
interesting that the artifact set from Midsummer Courtyard references Surumi Island's lore with
yeah,
the Thundering Fury literally references the thunder manifestation. And also Official has a voice line that talks about like, oh my god, I'm gonna butcher this, I'm so sorry. Sommernacht Garten,
Yeah,
which was
the
like
night
Zamanach
crystal.
Garten.
it was Midsummer Courtyard before it became ruins, like back in the day. And she's like, "Oh yeah, my favorite food is from there." And it's like, oh, kind of weird that we get the artifact set
Mm,
from from that
Probably
domain.
joking, right?
yeah,
Come on,
and also
14-year-old.
further on this.
She's
Not
role
like this.
playing. She's
Already,
role
Mhm.
playing.
even though we've like sort of like already gotten 2.8, and that's basically like furthered upon Fischl's lore and like what origins Oz has come from, I just can't stop thinking about if Oz is sort of like a smallified version of the Thunderbird.
I
Seems
don't remember when
interesting.
I did this, but Fischl and Oz is actually one of the really curious relationships in Genshin because like you have Ito and Ushi, you have Amber and her Baron Bunny, with the Baron Bunny being her creation, Klee and her dodo, and Guoba and Xiangling. With Fischl and Oz, it's almost like they're two halves of the same idiot, kind of like that.
Oh my
Oh,
Like Oz feels like a representation of Fischl's inner desire to be understood. While if like the moment that they reverse their personality where Amy starts coming out and starts gibbering, Oz, Oz becomes Fischl in a way with the dialect. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's more like a personality thing.
I
Maybe
think
Fischl's just
yeah,
so.
happy to be here.
I that's what I think too.
Fischl's
Like
just
I think
bullying.
yeah.
Amy's
It
just
could be one
Amy.
of two sides. It could be the Shaolin Gola treatment or the Ito Ushi treatment. It could be one of either.
I feel like maybe
Familiar was the word, yeah.
whatever story she read could be based off of, like real events of the past, but like her as a character, she's just Amy. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just a really good role player. I agree. But the Princess Fischl book is what I want to think about. Yeah, instead of just like Fischl herself. I think
Yeah.
that's curious. Yeah.
That's how I see it too. Also, there was a really interesting question earlier in chat from Bren. I wanted to like go back to it if that's okay.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Yeah, sure. Go
Yeah, go
for it.
ahead.
he said for after this discussion, I'm curious what you all think about what happens after the Teyvat chapter storyline, since a lot of people think Genshin will end. Think we'll get something like Abyss chapter storyline or another place which continues the story or gives us another perspective.
Yes, because we're literally only in the Teyvat chapter. That means there's still more
Yeah,
chapters technically.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
That's
it's
so
it's
ominous.
it,
I
it
love
feels
it.
like it feels like there's a border, but there's also not a border at the same time because there's like so many like projects about like current Teyvat. Like there's even like if you guys forgotten, there's also the collab with Beautiful Table creating the anime and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
it never
Mm.
features like the actual like this part. It just focuses on the Teyvat part. So it feels like the original story of Genshin is gonna end and like it's going to go into some kind of like other Abyss storyline, but at the other hand, it feels like it doesn't because like we've all of these fan creations, like it's all set in Teyvat. So if like Genshin does switch to Abyss storyline, like all of the fan made content will have to like switch accordingly, which I don't think would be the best choice in my opinion.
Agreed, yeah. I feel like it'll be a separate game in the event that it does
Yeah,
Yeah.
me
that.
too.
It'll
Mm-hmm,
have to be a
definitely.
separate game.
It's most likely going to be a
Ooh,
separate game.
that's so far into the future though, like several years.
I'm just
And
gonna be
like,
sad if we can't take our C6 characters over to the next game.
oh
Right?
The
no.
credit cards.
Like imagine
Oh
Dainsleif
no.
becomes playable, you get cons for him, and then they're like, oh, Genshin Impact 2.
Ooh,
Well,
I'm gonna be really,
Have fun
really
getting him
sad.
C6 all over again.
Like, not just about like playing characters, but like if we just don't get any more of their story when we leave, I'm gonna be so sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we have this whole entire roster, and like, how are they going to switch it into another game? Oh wow, we we implemented our 200 characters into this new game somehow.
what
Yeah,
if
Like,
some
I
of
feel
them
like
become the standard characters of the new game?
yeah,
oh
I
my
feel like
gosh, all 200 of them.
oh yeah, on launch we also added 200 different characters with all different kids because like Genshin also exists. But for real, I think like they're probably going to like start off with maybe the 7 archons at least because they're all
Mm-hmm.
their own
Yeah.
like interesting characters and stuff.
Would that be too
Mm-hmm.
heavy on like the
Yes.
beginning lore though? Maybe they'll make an
Hopefully they just
entirely
have one more
different
chapter.
game.
I mean,
Hope.
this isn't like an alien thing to like Hoyoverse, given that Honkai has pretty much basically ended down. The story is sort of like going these weird places. And they're also developing this new game called Star Rail, the other game that hasn't been mentioned in like 6 months, which also features
Oh.
basically like exact copies of the pre-existing characters because it's already a set of cast.
Star Rail is a really interesting game. I had the chance to. Don't worry, there's no non-discussion, but um, the lore really does tie in a lot with the Honkai lore, mainly because like even the little Easter eggs are carried. They're little rubbish bins. There's a
Mm.
storyline between.
Yeah, you're cutting out a bit more.
I am cutting out. Yep.
Yeah, so basically what she said, there's Easter eggs inside Star Rail that correspond back to Honkai if you missed it.
I can't wait to be 40 years old and playing Genshin 2.
Name your kid Venti. Oh, did you name me after
Oh
the
No.
Starbucks
no.
cup? No. No. Please don't do that. Don't name your kid after a Genshin character.
Amy?
Actually, yeah. Maybe the Monster characters.
Amy.
Kaidahara Kazuha, could you please get the get the trash?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Miss Wanderer Kurikuzushi, how dare you speak to your mother like that?
Y'all are gonna pull off an
Oh my
Elon Musk, I
God.
swear.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
no.
Kyle
No.
XAE 12, whatever.
The future is now.
Kyle. This is my oldest
Okay,
child.
Beelzebub, it's time for bed.
Why did she name me after the demon? No, she named me after the Genshin character. Get your facts straight.
Get it right.
Get it right. Hello, lesson.
That is perfectly how I see Gen Z people are gonna act when they're parents.
Oh my gosh, please no.
I'm done. Bran was
Oh.
like, Her Excellency, the mighty Narukami Ogosho, please clean your room.
Please clean your room.
Help.
No. Oh my god.
I most definitely will name my child Venti or Dainsleif.
Oh my god.
Definitely.
Oh boy.
Name your child after your VTuber.
Hi,
Okay.
this is my eldest child Durin and his younger brother Albedo.
God, I can't.
Oh man.
We're here on a cosplay contest for Genshin 39.
Oh no.
I actually wonder though, like what the fandom is gonna look like in like the next 10 years, because this is definitely like a series that, is in it for the long run. It's gonna be
Mhm.
huge like other big names. So I wonder.
I hope that I'll still see you guys in 10 years.
I'll be here, don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll be
Talking about
contractually
Genshin.
unable to leave unless I get my hands on Dainsleif, so I will be here.
I already got Wander. I'm just gonna bail.
Oh, you
No,
Aw.
Aster, don't fail.
The build
Someone's
Think
a
of think of all the hard
priority.
work you
Time.
put
It was
into
not
him.
very late game. Oh boy. Oh.
The build up to Scaramouche was so satisfying. Like 2 years of marketing, basically, and then he's out, and it's
Yes.
just beautiful. And the same thing's gonna happen with Dainsleif, except it's gonna be like a whole decade.
Whole
Whole
decade.
decade.
Listen, I'm ready.
Release this.
I'm a
Oh my
patient
god.
woman.
There's
I-
30 different
I wonder-
abilities which copy all the Archon's powers.
Oh my gosh. Imagine having to farm for Dane Sleep. You're a level 1 new player, you get Dane Sleep, and you're just like, oh, yeah, your materials are locked behind like the whole game. Huh?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
It's like, so he's gonna be level 40 forever.
It's like
So-
it's like if like it's like you're playing like Elden Ring with your friend. You're level 1 to fight Melania.
Literally.
Don't worry, you got this.
If
Ooh.
Dainsleif can't 36-star clear Spiral Abyss solo, I'm gonna sue because that's not lore accurate. That wouldn't be very cash money of them. False advertising.
If you can't
False
crush them all into a
advertising.
black hole.
Yeah,
Do you think
exactly.
they'd add more floors to Spiral Abyss at that time? Like, there were rumors of 13 plus.
They're gonna
better
have
add more
30 by
primo
then.
gems, honestly. Give us more primos, Hoyo.
Yeah, I feel like they need to give us more primos. If they're gonna add like more floors, then those floors should have like way more primos than the floors before. Like give us incentive to actually do it.
Especially if they get harder. Floor 12's already pretty hard for me.
Yeah, and not like artifacts, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
AC being playable feels surreal. Oh my gosh.
Imagine the
He-
Abyss Twin
okay.
being playable.
I feel like if we
Well, that'd
ever
be
had
cool.
an abyss element, I was wondering if the twin would be kind of like the free abyss element unit that we get.
Oh,
Ooh.
hmm.
That would
Because
be
there's
pretty cool,
no
yeah.
way they're gonna make Dainsleif the free character.
3 character. Oh my god, imagine.
Ooh.
Not when he's
That'd be
voiced by
so
Suda
cool.
Kenjiro.
No.
And Yuri Lowenthal, he's definitely gonna be a premium character.
What do you mean, Dainsley voice lines? We already have all the voice lines, and they can show you the character miscellany about Nahida, and it's just like the whole script, right? Like
The
that's
whole
what you see in
script,
the
yeah,
game.
literally.
That's
I
just
wonder who's
it.
gonna do his miscellany actually. Himself.
Probably Alice. Probably
Himself.
Alice, because she's the other one.
True, Alice.
Yeah,
Or he'll be
true.
like, if you do this, I proc a something AoE.
If Dainsleif, the best knight of all the abyss.
Imagine he is just like all the Archon
A
quests
bossy
in his
knight.
character stories.
Oh, true. Yeah, you have to
Beautiful.
do all of that. The miscellany just traumatizes all of us.
Listen, I'll take it. I'll take it. That's what I'm paying for.
What? Oh man, I'm excited for
So
new
excited.
characters.
Me
Same.
too.
Yeah.
Is there a region that any of you are interested in or are looking forward to,
Fontaine.
like, particularly? Fontaine. Oh,
Fontaine.
that was so
Fontaine,
quick. You
Fontaine,
answered so
Fontaine.
fast.
Fontaine, sorry.
For me,
Bro,
it was
bro.
That
for.
is just
Now it's fun.
Oh, no.
Fontaine will be everything for me. Fontaine will be literally everything. I just love the, like, the aesthetic is top tier, top
Oh,
tier.
yes,
Like,
this one.
bro, bro, bro.
I can't wait for the different
Like,
coutures between the
I swear to God,
regions.
if the OST
Yeah.
does not feature Jazz, I will sue Hoyoverse. I swear, the OST has to feature Jazz.
Ooh.
Ooh, Nathlin just has no lore right now.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's just like a
Where are
mystery
they?
cesspool.
Where's the NPCs?
What
Like, where's anything?
what region do you think they're inspired by, like
Oh
in
no,
the
we
real
trapped
world?
ourselves into Mara Jivari.
Oh, yeah,
Do
the
you think
Marjavar.
Please
they're
be
like
Aztec.
Yeah.
Aztec would be
Aztecs?
cool.
Wait, that would be so cool. I hadn't
Please
even
be
considered that.
Aztec.
That's
It'll be
really cool.
so cool. The fact that it has the 60 appeal, true.
Mm. And the
Ooh.
architecture.
I'm
Oh,
I'm actually curious, since a lot of people here are very invested in lore. What's one weird lore fact just to put into like the library of weird lore facts that you know of?
Oh, that when Venti eats apples, the wind smells like apples, so that means we're literally inhaling his fart.
Oh
Okay.
no,
nice.
no.
That's actual lore. Like
Unfortunately.
weird lore.
Well,
When
That's like
Venti.
a random question you would ask your mom when you're like 5 years old, and like and like when it's raining, you ask your mom like, "Hey mom, is like raining like God peeing or something?"
No, but literally, when he
Oh my
eats apples,
God.
the wind smells of apples. That means he's literally, it's his flatulence.
But I don't
oh,
want to think of that because like Kazuha's like, the wind, the scent of the
No,
I don't got that life.
No.
Imagine people
Kazuha.
bottle it.
Oh my gosh.
When
Oh my
Venti
God.
gets distracted, the wind stops blowing, and like the flowers and stuff stop spinning and start wilting. I think that's also cool.
That's really cool too.
I love it when
Oh,
people use
man.
wind gliders and there's like little specks, like little teal specks when they take off. It's a little trace of vent.
The
So
blessing
cute.
of the Animal
Aw.
Archon.
Because the
Oh,
wind
there's
gliders
also
only
like
Stick
fly
your
with the
tongue out.
blessing.
Yay.
yeah. Speaking of flying, there's also like this gadget, like this random maple leaf. When you click, like, oh wait, it's not a maple leaf. I think it's like a fan or some kind of like leaf or something. You click on it and then you
Mhm.
glide faster for some reason.
Yeah, the gadget.
Yeah, the gadget.
Yeah, the
Mm.
gadget.
I
It's like
really like the
little
lore
propellers.
on. I really like the lore on Timmy's dad, or like the lack thereof.
Oh man,
Why did she
maybe.
just randomly mention Timmy?
I mean, little lore tidbit.
Someone in the chat was
Fair,
actually
because it's
asking
like
about Timmy. Asking about Timmy. So Crows uses Solution. Oh yeah, I love that one. I love that lore so much. Ah, yes.
Yeah, also, like, I remember the imaginary friend as well. Like, Timmy has this giant ass ruin guard.
Yeah, right? Maybe he's the final boss, you know?
You can just,
Yeah,
I can
no.
just picture him staring up in the sky and asking random questions while people around him are just like, what the fuck?
The best part is that Traveler has a voice line about Timmy and basically says that like Timmy is like the most memorable person they've met so far.
Oh my gosh, no. Ooh. That's actually kind of sad considering they've literally met God.
Oh
Well,
my
the voice
god.
line
Me-
was released in Mondstadt, so though it is kind of interesting that
Ooh.
like implies that Timmy's more interesting than Venti.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, even in TCG, we already have a card of Timmy, no Venti yet.
No
Yeah,
Bente,
just
true.
You have to be level 10 in TCG to battle Timmy, by the way.
final boss.
Why?
Final boss
I don't
summons
know.
3 million
I haven't
pigeons.
reached it yet.
Mhm. Timmy's the
Each one
primordial
shot
one.
their character.
Ooh. When Scaramouche was sus about his birthday gift and people because the last time he got a gift inside was. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ooh. Uh,
We're just silent now for a bit, but let me think of a more tidbit.
I think we're all
There's
just
also
winding down right
the
Yeah, our time's winding
now.
down, I think.
That sounds so ominous.
I mean, like, I have like 2 minutes left.
Would oh, I am actually curious. I am legally obligated to ask this in every podcast. Are you guys aware of the sea Ganoderma lore?
No?
Oh, the sea down run. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like
yeah,
to
yeah.
hear.
It's the
You tell.
souls of dead children, like FNAF.
Oh, yeah. All right. Are you you know how Genshin has this thing where legends are what do you call this? Oh, they who know, they who do not. Mhm. A plant species that only grows in certain regions and islands of the ocean. Though it looks like a fungus of some sort, it actually comes from a substance secreted by certain soft bodied organisms. In the folk tales in a certain land, these mouthless, noseless creatures are the transformed souls of children who died young. As a form of punishment, they must spend endless years absorbing the elements within the sand and sea, using their fragile bodies, piling them up, and forming sea ganoderma. Congratulations, now you know more about the sea ganoderma lore. Hope you like
Yeah,
That
building
it's
was
your
basically,
copy.
beautifully read, by the way, in the venti voice.
yeah. Sea Ganoderma's just a living FNAF reference.
And
Right?
Yaimiko
Right.
uses them.
But now,
Time to go
How
harvest
do I
every
guide
single
me kind of
Siganaderma.
sus? I have my mission is to just spread that one piece of lore in every place that I can. Just out of I don't know,
terrifying.
It's a good
just
mission.
just that's one
I love
terrifying piece
it.
of lore. Oh no, I want to silence for your earbuds. There's this.
All right, that's about time. Wait. That's about time. Sorry for cutting you guys off again if you're talking at all, but unfortunately, we're out of time for today's episode of One More Cup of Coffee. It's sad to say this, but the end has to come one way or another. Thank you, Aster, Leah, and Minsleif for joining us today. All of us have been, you all have been very entertaining with your lore and all your insider stuff, especially Mins.
Thanks for
Don't
having
forget,
us.
if you want to find them and their own socials, you can follow all of them on Twitter. You can follow all of them on YouTube,
We'll
and you can follow Min and Leah on Twitch.
thank you all for listening in, and we will see you next time for a cup of coffee.
Bye,
Bye
Thank you for having
bye.
guys.
us. Yes. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
Thank you for
you.
having us. It was
Bye.
so much fun.
Help, I can't get out of the Discord.